Howard Stark comes to Los Angeles.
Our favorite One Tree Hill alum who's not Sophia Bush also comes to Los Angeles.
And Jason Wilkes is maybe a ghost as we review Agent Carter Season 2, Episode 3, Better Angels. Hello and welcome to our Agent Carter review show. This episode is sponsored by Majorspoilers.com, the website where they love comics and they know that you do too. Go and check out Majorspoilers.com. I am your host, Ashley Victoria Robinson, and today I am joined by the awesome Jonathan Lennon of Geekscape, also famous TV director, guys, so you gotta be nice to him.
Oh, no.
Thank you so much for joining us.
They're all going to IMDb being like, no, he's not.
And they're all like, oh, shit, I've seen all those things. All right, let's go right into it. Let's talk about the good in this episode. Easily my favorite thing about this episode was Howard Stark's return, Dominic Cooper coming back to the show.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I loved his entrance where they broke into the arena club with all the Cabana girls, and that's how Peggy made her way in there.
And the writing's really smart. And what's good about it is that they play with the time. Mm-hmm. You know, you get the whole gist of the arena club being this hoity-toity club that doesn't allow women in it, which gives Howard the perfect opportunity to sneak Peggy into the club and also flood the place with women. Hilarious. And then, of course, his introduction as a director on set.
Did you feel a connection to that personally?
Yeah, it was great. And then, of course, they can put a couple Easter eggs in there, which were awesome.
Yes, which we will talk about in a little bit. It was also a nice way to get some jabs at Jarvis. Like, we got the line where he said he didn't want to be a disembodied voice the rest of his life. I thought that was super funny.
Good call out to, of course, Jarvis's role in the Avengers. But it wasn't the only jabs that Jarvis got in the episode. I liked the fight scene.
With Peggy, where she was all...
Yeah, the unnamed assailant that you think is, I guess, Hunt.
Mr. Hunt?
Mr. Hunt. And you first see Peggy taking it to that boxing bag. And
that looks suspiciously modern.
Yeah, the heavy bag. She's just taking it to it. And you just remember, hey, guys, Peggy kicks ass. She could have possibly taken out that the security agent when she was hiding under the table in the club. But obviously that would have blown the whole operation. I'm just waiting for Peggy to actually put some of those moves on another human being because she kicks as much ass as any male in this show, and we did get to see it in that fight.
We also got the return of Judo Jarvis from
Judo
the last
Jarvis
episode.
is awesome with Kung Fu grip. The two of them are a great team, just like Howard said, and I think that was my favorite scene because we got a little bit of action in the episode.
I was also super glad to see that Jason Wilkes did not actually die. I was going to be super bummed if we never saw him again after the first two episodes.
But it also adds the question, we've seen the film, and the whole, I thought the film was actually going to we're going to see that film get destroyed as evidence later on by Kerwin Smith's character, but the fact that film exists, and the film is of an entire platoon and tank squadron of... Where are they? I mean, if
they're inside Whitney Frost's head.
I mean, if this matter is just kind of changing your wavelengths to the point where you phase out of being seen or heard, then where's all that stuff? And are we going to see it later on?
Let's talk about the Easter eggs in this episode. We saw many times in Howard Stark's movie studio that there were comic books showing Kid Colt. Kid Colt is a Western comic that has appeared twice under the Marvel imprint, but this show, Agent Carter, is set in 1947, and Kid Colt wasn't first published in 1948. So I'm calling you out, Marvel historian on the set.
But you know what? We didn't just see a Kid Colt comic. We saw Kid Colt.
That's true.
We first see the actor. He's dressed as Kid Colt. That's a Kid Colt movie that they're filming, which was really awesome. I love that they're playing with all of Marvel history, and all of it can turn into an Easter egg if you stay on your toes, including Broxton, Oklahoma, which is the place where Thor's hammer fell. And obviously, if you read the comics, that's where Asgard kind of hovered for a couple of years above Broxton, Oklahoma.
Yeah, that was a big part of the Loki story for a long Journey into Mystery.
Mm-hmm. So seeing Broxton, Oklahoma in this episode, I was like, oh, there it goes. That was an Easter egg that you... if you're a big Marvelite or just a casual Marvelite, you probably saw that immediately.
Also, you probably saw the stained glass window that is the arc reactor, or like the design for the arc
Howard
reactor.
had like a pretty prominent shot in front of it, and then they racked to it, and you're like, yeah,
all right.
That's definitely what it is. The Church of Stark.
Oh my God.
Stained glass arc reactor.
Would you worship at the Church of Stark?
I don't know if he's on the same moral compass as I am, but somebody like Peter Parker or Steve Rogers or maybe Reed Richards, yeah.
But think about it, the sacrificial wine would be on point.
Which you do see a lot of. There's a lot of wine in this episode.
There's a lot of drinking. Yeah. And then the final one that I want to call out is Whitney Frost mistakes Peggy Carter calling out Jason Wilkes, and she calls him Mr. Wilson, like Sam Wilson, which goes back to my prediction for last week.
I think that was a bit of a stretch, but it's Marvel, and I love it, so I'm going to keep an open mind. I would like, it's a big universe. Anything can happen.
I'll take it. Let's talk about the bad in this episode of Agent Carter. For me, I wasn't terribly pleased that Jack Thompson, Chad Michael Murray, had to come to Los Angeles and had to make his return to the episode. I was much happier in the show without him.
I like him. And I like the fact that I like the fact that he's guarding what he knows to be the truth, and he's realizing that there are powers greater than him that he used to believe in, that he's now realizing his faith may have been ill-placed.
Do you like seeing him play opposite Kurtwood Smith's character?
Very much so, because he was one of these kind of rank and file government employees who's like,
what a great word.
Who's like, this is the job.
Yeah. I'm
a patriot. I'm gonna do the job. I'm gonna protect the country, and then you start to realize that things may exist more in a gray area, and I like those layers to his character. So I actually really liked seeing him, much in the same way the director from last season started to turn when the evidence that Peggy was presenting started to be undeniable. So I like it when a character has an arc like that, for sure.
Fine.
You can still not like him.
What didn't you like about this episode?
There's not a lot. I mean, this is one of my favorite shows on television. You know what? I think because I love it so much, the ending did feel abrupt.
Oh, yeah?
I was like, okay, I want to know a little bit more about that black mark that's growing on your head. And and we're done. Okay, so you can suck people. No, I just want a little bit more. So is that a negative that you want next week's episode to play
right now?
Immediately after this week's episode? That one felt abrupt to me, and it may just be based on my own impatience.
I will agree that I don't think there's a lot that's terribly wrong with this episode, but I did think it was super goofy when Peggy was in the arena club and she was crawling all around, and the hitman came in, and then she took the broken circuit from this listening device and caught the flower from her dress on fire and then threw it, but no smoke alarm went off.
Yeah, and no blatant Wolverine-like shot of the security agent going.
Yeah,
or
totally.
An alarm going off. So yeah, maybe a little miscommunication on what that was supposed to accomplish, but you know what? She got out of there, and that follow-up scene was hilarious because she goes, "I really get confused around books."
I also thought that Jarvis sneaking away was like the least effective, least sneaky thing ever.
No, the writing on this episode is a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thoroughly?
Thoroughly.
Nice. This is the part of the show where we give you our predictions based on this episode for the coming season. And I am going to predict that because Jason Wilkes is hanging out in this in-between place, that I think that he is going to phase to one of the other realms, the 9 realms from Thor, that we haven't seen yet.
Oh, another realm from Thor, but there's also realms that were introduced in places like Ant-Man, and perhaps we're not going to see until we get to Doctor Strange. And these are the in-between kind of realms.
Changing it.
The sub-realms.
He's gonna find Janet Van Dyne the Wasp.
He could do that, but really that would tie into this whole idea of the negative energy, zero power drink.
Zero energy, I think.
It's called the black stuff, and how. I mean, what is all that? And does that then tie into these sort of folds in between realities that exist in the Marvel Universe that we saw a hint of in Ant-Man, and we'll probably see a lot more of Doctor Strange. I think there will be a window into those worlds. I think that's almost assured. And then whether or not we see Madame Mask actually don the mask would be really cool, or at least see that gold mask with the spines, like, let's just see it on the wall somewhere.
Do you think she'll put on one of the comedy or tragedy masks from her dressing room?
You know what? If she just puts on, like, a white top with like that whole like the bullet buttons outside, I'm happy.
Nice.
Let's just see that. Marvel does a really good job of confidently yet casually putting in these love letters to the fans and celebrating their entire catalog and history. So I always look forward to more of that, and hopefully Madame Mask is in there.
Cool. Are you ready to rate the show?
Yeah.
So this is a scale from 1 Jarvis head to a potential 5 Jarvis heads, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. What are you going to give this episode?
I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 because if I just go out with the 5 I want to give it, I'm going to look like a total, sycophant. But I am so happy that this show is back on TV.
My thoughts about this episode is that in the pantheon of Jarvis heads, I have to agree and give it a 4 Jarvis heads of household because I thought it was really, really strong. But nothing is perfect. For more Agent Carter goodness, head over to majorspoilers.com, the website where they love comics. They know that you do too. If you like this show, I also host a Supergirl recap show every Monday. And on Thursdays, Jason Inman hosts a Legends of Tomorrow recap show right on this network. If you want to support those shows, if you want to support this show, head on over to patreon.com/Jawiin, Jawiin, for exclusive content that you can only get on Patreon. Jonathan London.
Can I just say congrats on the culmination of the Red Shirt Diaries?
Oh, thank you so much.
I mean, it's not easy to do something complete on the web and have a vision and see it because the web is a minefield of distraction and maybe this is a better idea, this and that, and before you know it, a year-long plus process of creating something whole is almost unattainable. So congratulations on actually attaining it.
Thank you.
That was cool to see.
Where can people find your culminations on the internet?
The 9+ year journey of Geekscape continues at geekscape.net, and it's a podcast we do every week, and we have since 2006. So I too like talking movies, video games, comic books, and all things genre and pop culture. And that's where you can find us, geekscape.net, Facebook, and all that stuff. Just search for Geekscape. You'll find us.
Awesome. And don't forget to go down and click that big subscribe button. I want you to. You want you to. Do it for the both of us. Thank you so much. I have been Ashley Victoria Robinson. Be safe, agents. As well, building on that, John Jones' origins is lifted directly from the comic book history, including the burning of Mars, a little bit of which we got to see in some of the background. Martian babies, they broke my heart.